1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a level check. It's a level check if you're watching on Roku TV, Samsung TV, Apple TV. If you're watching on basically on Facebook or on YouTube, you should be hearing my level check right now. I'll be with you here in under a minute. I've got a couple issues here. I don't know what's going on, but something, connectivity's low on between computers here, so I'm having a little bit of an issue, so I'll be right with you. Okay, so there is the 3 to 4 week precip. Okay, 3 to 4 week temperature, 8 to 14 day temperature, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. All right. And all I've got to do is find the overnight forecast. It seems to have disappeared. Oh, there it is. All right. Didn't disappear. I just wasn't able to see it. Okay. There we are. According to my clock, it has just turned 7:15. So this is meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer coming to you from the streaming center at Fox 19. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like. I did not turn the studio lights on yet. I'm just running a little bit late. So I'm going to walk over here. Now just remember how bad this looks. It's not that I'm old, it's that the lighting's bad. Okay. Turn on the studio lights, turn off the work lights, and doesn't this look better? Okay, so what we have behind me here is we've got a shot of from our tower cam up in South Fairmont, about 4 miles as the crow flies from downtown Cincinnati. And I guess the feature that really tells us what's going on with the weather is the high cloud cover that's increasing up there. So it's got that whitish cast to the sky. Can't see a lot of blue. And so we do have some high, thin cloud cover moving over the tri-state, which will thicken up, bring us the chance of a shower in the morning. But the threat of severe weather that we have coming our way does not really kick in until tomorrow evening. Right now, we may have to move this time a little bit. Right now, I'm thinking 8 p.m. or later here in the Cincinnati area. Although we'll have some showers in the morning, you may hear a clap of thunder. We're not talking severe weather tomorrow morning. We're talking the severe weather tomorrow evening, but as a warm front comes through, we may have a few showers and thunderstorms, and I'm putting those from 8 a.m. to just before noon, and then from there on until about 8 o'clock, we don't have much going on. Okay, but let's go ahead and take a look at this satellite radar. You can see that there's a surge of moisture right there moving in from the Gulf of Mexico. You can also see that there's a jet stream up there based on the clouds, and those two will combine to bring us some really unsettled weather. And as a matter of fact, once the system gets here, it's going to kind of stall out over top of the Fox 19 Now viewing area, roughly along the Ohio River, and that's going to bring us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, days when we could see excessive rainfall and the possibility of some flooding. So, got first alert weather days in effect. Strong to severe storms are a good bet from Wednesday evening into Thursday, and then again we could see some from time to time on into Sunday. And the big threat after Wednesday night into Thursday morning is the flooding rains. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now you're going to see a series here of maps that look just like this. Here's the Fox 19 Now viewing area. And you kind of interpret these the way you've all seen the convective outlooks that show a slight, moderate risk of severe weather. Well, it works the same way here, but this is for excessive rainfall. So it has a slight risk, basically a level 2 out of 5 for excessive rainfall in the Cincinnati metro area. That would be our entire viewing area, with the exception of maybe Lewis County, and a moderate risk that almost comes up to our viewing area. So if you live in Madison, Indiana, technically out of our viewing area, or some other areas in southern Indiana, south of Indianapolis, you may end up seeing some heavier rainfall. So there we have. This is from 8 a.m. Wednesday to 8 a.m. Thursday. The Weather Prediction Center says a slight to moderate risk in our viewing area of excessive rainfall. Okay, when we go from 8 a.m. Thursday into 8 a.m. Friday, that moderate risk touches Owen, Carroll, Gallatin, parts of southern Indiana around Ohio and Switzerland counties. Everybody else under a slight risk. That takes us through 8 a.m. Friday. Look at that moderate risk down there. Okay, the high risk in the magenta color centered kind of on Paducah. Okay, and they think there could be as much as 15 inches of rain around Paducah. Okay, as we head on into the period from 8 a.m. Friday to 8 a.m. Saturday, we have a marginal to slight risk, so things back off a little bit. I think later in the day on Friday it looks kind of dry. If you have Friday evening plans right now, they're looking okay. And then if we go from 8 a.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. Sunday, we're back in the moderate to slight risk of excessive rainfall. Now, if you were watching yesterday at this time, I showed you model output from the European model, the 5-day rain total. That would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it had over 10 inches of rain in the VV, Indiana area. And not much less than that in other areas. And I said, well, my kind of rule of thumb this far in advance of a system is to cut the Europeans' forecast in half. Okay, well, now let's take a look at what the Weather Prediction Center is saying. This is not the European model. This is the actual meteorologist at the Weather Prediction Center. And they're showing this area right here. So here's the bright orange with 10 to 15 inches of rain. May get as close to us as near Louisville, Owensboro, Kentucky. 7 to 10 inches of rain. That's in this orange that includes our almost our entire viewing area. Actually, a good portion of our viewing area, 7 to 10 inches of rain, and 6 to 7 inches in other parts. So we're talking about a good amount of rain through the Fox 19 Now viewing area, 7 to 10 inches. Okay, that's a lot of rainfall even in 5 days. All right, so here's what the European model now says. Okay, so this is kind of close to what the European model was saying yesterday. Now the European model has come down a little bit, and you see, if I'll show it to you full screen, you can see it's still saying 6.14 in Florence and Georgetown, 6.04 in Maysville, 6.55 in Connersville. So anywhere from 4.5 to close to 7 inches of rainfall may fall in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. So I want to make sure that you understand that if you live in a flood-prone area, if you live along, let's say you live along Ohio Brush Creek in Adams County, be very, very aware of what's going on. But if you live in the floodplains of any of the small rivers, get ready. Now, this may make the Ohio River go up. It really depends on how much falls downriver from us, as opposed to upriver from us. But this is more of an event, and I'm sure the Ohio River will go up. I think they have it going up to 47 feet now. But this is more of an event for the small streams flooding pretty quickly. So some of it may be flash flooding, and some of them just may be flooding. But overall, again, we are talking about a real possibility, if you're in a flood-prone area, that you have to pay attention here from Wednesday evening on into Sunday. Okay, then, so that takes care of the flooding. Take a look at what the Storm Prediction Center says. It says that we have an enhanced risk of severe storms. And if you look at it closely here, the moderate risk comes up to Louisville, or actually a little bit to the upstream of Louisville. So we're not too far from a moderate risk. This that we have is a level 3 out of 5. It's level 4 out of 5 from Louisville downriver. And so if they adjust this and bring it further north, this is a real situation that could bring widespread severe thunderstorms to the Fox 19 Now viewing area. Could be stronger than the episode we had Sunday evening, and will more than likely be more widespread than Sunday evening. Okay, then level 2 out of 5, slight risk of severe storms from 8 a.m. Thursday to 8 a.m. Friday, and that's all going to move to the south, because if we look at one more day, you can see that slight risk is moved basically just to the south of our viewing area. So when we head on into Saturday, it looks like the threat of severe weather is ending, but the threat of heavy rainfall is not. Again, we still may see some severe thunderstorms develop during the day on Sunday. Okay, the Weather Service has issued a flood watch. That flood watch is in effect for every county in the Fox 19 Now viewing area from Wednesday evening all the way into Sunday morning, and they may have to move that into Sunday afternoon for the termination of that, because it looks like we have enough rain Sunday that it could be an issue. Okay, so a flood watch. Everybody in the Fox 19 Now viewing area under a flood watch because that rain looks to be excessive. Okay, then we also have a wind advisory in effect from 10 a.m. Wednesday to 12 a.m. Thursday. So that's midnight Wednesday into Thursday. So winds could gust to 50 miles an hour outside of thunderstorms, okay? So, and again, the thunderstorm activity, I'll show you on the model here, is not really expected to move into the area until later. Okay, so here is the European model, and I will stop the rundown here and go into a more localized model here in just a couple of minutes. But let's look at this for a good general view of what's going on. So this is now about just about 7:20 p.m. And notice as we head on into tomorrow morning, we've got some shower activity in the tri-state. Now, this is all moving to the north and east. And so if you're planning on going to the Reds game, we think, I don't see it being where the game is canceled. I do see it as being maybe potential for a rain delay. But watch what happens as this continues to move to the north and east. You can see that by 4:20 p.m. it's pretty much gone. So we think there could be a few showers during the game. The heavy rain, the severe weather holds way off. They don't have to worry about that at the ballpark. And you can see that line of thunderstorms out to the west. Now this is by 11:30 p.m. So I'm going to stop this and step through it by hand so we can get a little bit better idea of what's going on here. So I'm going to back the clock up here. Okay, so this is as of 7:30 p.m. So notice it really doesn't have any strong storms, as shown in yellow, into our viewing area at 7:30. And by the time we get to 8:20, they are moving into the Fox 19 now viewing area. So that's why we're thinking probably after 8. Now, if we may have to slide the timeline a little bit. If it comes in faster, we'll have to move it earlier. It could come in later. But just think in terms of around 8 p.m. Wednesday evening for the chance of severe storms to arrive. Those storms move off to the east. By 11:30, they're just in our far southern and southeastern counties. Now, this may not develop exactly the way this model says, but it does make it look like by the time we get to, let's see, that is 2:50 a.m. By the time, and we still have, it looks like what's happening here is the line moves in and it slows down, and we've got little bundles of energy rippling up the front here. And so notice this is 5:40 a.m., so still on into Thursday morning from about 8 o'clock, Friday morning I should have, sorry, geez, I got my days mixed up. From about 8 o'clock Wednesday into 5:40 a.m. Thursday, we still have rain over most of the Fox 19 Now viewing area, some of it heavy, and some of the storms with that could be severe, but it still looks like the prime time for severe storms, 8 p.m. to midnight. Once we get past midnight, there'll still be lightning and thunder. There'll still be some thunderstorms, but for the most part, the problems will come from the rain. Okay, let's see. Let's go through this. And okay, let's put it in a little bit further, and so then by the time we get, let's back up one. Okay, by the time we get to 7:30 a.m., it's moving east of Interstate 71. By the time we get to 9 a.m., it's moving out of our viewing area, and by 10 a.m., we're pretty much out of the chance of severe thunderstorms and rain. Excuse me a second here. Okay, so that kind of puts a timeline on it. We could have a few showers tomorrow morning. You might hear a clap of thunder, but not the severe stuff. We get a break where we have a few scattered showers through the day. Once we get past 8 p.m., I'm thinking that we're under the gun for the possibility of some severe thunderstorm activity, and that lasts until about midnight, and then we go into rain with some non-severe thunderstorms overnight. So I'm trying to see if we're online here. And I tell you, I don't know how to use Facebook here. This drives me crazy. Oh, there we are. Okay, there I am. Right there I am complaining about Facebook. Okay, I just want to make sure we were there. Okay, so let me let's go through the rest of this model. Okay, and so then looks like we're drying out Thursday afternoon. As we head into the homebound commute Thursday, looks like it's going to be dry, but then more rain comes our way. This is 9:40 p.m. Thursday evening. Okay, so 9:40 p.m. Thursday evening, we've got rain moving back into the tri-state, and then it looks like the next bout with this heavy rainfall is going to stay to the south and east, primarily of Interstate 71. Now, not exactly, but Interstate 71 is a good marker. Everybody kind of knows how it runs and where it is, and so we often use I-71 as a marker for where the rain's starting or stopping. And then you can see that as we head on into Friday afternoon, notice the break in the rainfall, like I mentioned. So the break in the rainfall, but as we head into Friday evening, here comes another band right here, and then the heavy stuff comes back by the time we get into Saturday. So one more time. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Okay, so by Saturday at 7 a.m., rain is moving back into the tri-state. We've got periods of rain. Some of it will be heavy Saturday. This is 7 p.m., and then here comes the third batch, and this one looks like to be the strongest rainfall of all of them. Okay, continues. And then as we head on into Sunday afternoon, everything pushes off to the east, and we dry out, and it comes to an end. Okay, so let me take a look here. What I want to show you is a model that's higher resolution so we can get a little bit better idea on this. I might have to edit this model. Give me just a second. This is the model that comes in every hour, but every 6 hours it goes out quite a bit longer. But if you get the hourly version, it only goes out for about 18 hours. So, Yep, this is the right one. Okay, so what we're going to see here, what I'm going to show you, I'm just going to step through this. And we're starting at 7:30 p.m., that's tonight. And so as we head through the night, maybe, as cloudy skies continue, you see some rain off to the north and west. Then at 5:30 a.m., you see a few scattered light showers out there. Again, there might be a brief light thunder shower tomorrow morning, but nothing that's, maybe a clap of thunder, but nothing that's going to be a problem. Okay, so we'll continue to watch that. So here, 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m., and if you look at that right there, you see there around I-65, the one that runs from Indy to Louisville, you see the potential for a couple thunderstorms popping up. And of course, we're interested, especially in this, because we're the Reds weather provider, and they start at 12:40, I think it is tomorrow. So at 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m., it dries out. And this is what I told the Reds. It looks like it'll be dry for a while. And then as we head into the latter part of the game in the afternoon for us, a few showers begin to pop up once again. And again, a few of those could have some thunder in them. I can't rule out an isolated severe thunderstorm during the late afternoon, early evening, but I think it's going to really hold off until this. Okay, here we go, right here. Okay, so this model's bringing it in even later. So if we go back to 8 o'clock, I said after 8 o'clock, okay, here's where it looks like it is at 8 o'clock, okay? A few scattered thunderstorms popping up ahead of it. Those could be severe. So I guess the 8 o'clock hour works. But for the main line, that's still over near Indianapolis. This model says it won't be until around 9 o'clock that it enters the western counties in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. Okay, now the reason I've got 8 o'clock in there, because we have to adjust the timeline a little bit. I don't want to say 9 o'clock and then have it come in at 7. So if I'm saying 8, we can slide the timeline an hour earlier or an hour later. But what we try to do is make sure that it's something that doesn't leave you surprised. In other words, if I would say, oh, the rain won't get here till midnight and it gets here at 8 p.m., you're going to be surprised, and we don't want that. We want you to know exactly what's going to happen. Okay, so this is 9 o'clock, and you can see, if you look at this, this is what one of these high resolution, and they're called CAM, C-A-M models, convective allowing models. So in other words, in all the equations and numbers that make up these models, this actually has the physics of what makes the thunderstorm parameterized in it, so it can do those calculations. So this particular model, which is the HRRR, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model, you can see that at 9:30 p.m. it's indicating thunderstorms out of our viewing area pretty much, right here between Indianapolis and our viewing area. So you see those spots, and that's what a model rendition of a thunderstorm looks like. Okay, and you can see them a little bit better if I put it full screen for you. So you see that stuff around Interstate 65, northeastward to west of Connersville. All those magenta cores are what this particular model's forecasting as a thunderstorm activity. Okay, and so these convective allowing models, and again, the convective allowing models are great. It really helps me tremendously with the Reds. Not so much in the next hour or two, but to let them know how quickly it's going to dry out or if it's going to reform or whatever. They're not very good when you go out a couple days. I mean, in other words, if this is 72 to 48 hours in the past or in the future, and you're looking at a convective allowing model, they don't do so well. But once you get into that 12 to 18 hour time frame, they look pretty good. So this is still looking good. I mean, it's still a little ways out. It's 24 hours out, but it's getting close to when they do their best. Okay, so there are the thunderstorms showing up on the HRRR model, and we move this eastward, and you can see even more developing. look down here, look to the south and west, okay? What I was hiding it before. Down here off the lower left-hand part of the monitor, and you can see additional thunderstorm activity popping up around the tri-state. Okay, so there we go. And again, it's time of day, so this is at 11:30 p.m., but we still have thunderstorms building up. And notice, on this particular model, there's one right near Vivi. There's one south of Interstate 71, south of Carrollton there, on the very edge of the screen. And so it looks like it's shifting most of the activity to the south. Let's see if that continues. Okay, 12:30 a.m. Okay, and this still, this kind of worries me. This line you see right here, the darker reds, you see some magenta in it right here, all the way down here into south of Grant and Pendleton counties. This is a pretty good indicator of a line of severe thunderstorms, okay, based on what the model shows. So I'm thinking that this is 1 a.m., so we may not, in our eastern, I mean, the main metro area may be out of it, but by the time we get to 1 to 2 a.m., we should still see some pretty strong storms in the tri-state, and that's Thursday morning, 1 to 2 a.m. Thursday morning. Okay, so go forward a little bit more. You can see that line. Look at that still. You still see some strong thunderstorms south of Grant County there. You follow that arc through the Mount Olivet area, through the Maysville area. North of West Union, there's probably a thunderstorm over there just to the east of Adams County. Still a thunderstorm, and this is 2:30 a.m., okay? And then it does begin. Still some thunderstorms popping up with this pretty powerful storm. Notice, though, by 5 a.m. Thursday morning, we're down to scattered showers, and most of the rain is now east and south of Interstate 71, approximately, not exactly. Okay, and then we still have some activity going on as late as 9 a.m. And then notice, I mean, we're not completely done with it. We still have some. We still have the possibility of some storms behind the main circulation popping up here in a line. So it's a very real situation that could bring widespread severe thunderstorm activity for an extended period of time. Although I still think because of time of day, we're looking at the greatest chance of severe storms coming to an end midnight to 1 or 2 a.m. But according to this model, and this model may be overdoing it a little bit at this point, but according to this model, it's still going to be active as we head into Thursday morning. And then during the day on Thursday, we still have some shower activity popping up around the tri-state, especially on the eastern and southeastern part of our viewing area. Okay. So that is that model, the CAM, C-A-M, convection allowing model, meaning that it actually tries to develop thunderstorms. It uses the physics of the atmosphere, it uses what we know about thunderstorms. All that's parameterized in some pretty heady equations, and that is a model that gives us a very good idea of what's happening, although it's a model. It's not perfect. Just like Meteorologist, it's not perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look again. The first alert weather days are in effect for Thursday and Friday, Wednesday and Thursday. They may have to be stretched to Friday and Saturday for strong to severe storms and some flooding rainfall. All right, so excessive rainfall outlooks again, moderate to slight risk from Wednesday on into Friday. As we head into Saturday, a little bit of a break from that, and then back to moderate to slight risk during the day on Sunday. Okay, and again, it could be 7 to 10 inches of rain in parts of the tri-state. And also, according to the model, not that much different. It doesn't have any 10-inch amounts, but it certainly has amounts that are closing in on 7 inches. An enhanced threat of severe weather from 8 a.m. Wednesday to 8 a.m. Thursday. Now, 8 a.m. Wednesday, we're not going to have severe weather, but our threat in that 24-hour time period kicks in about 8 o'clock, as I showed you on the maps. And we still have a slight risk as we head on into Thursday into Friday morning. So, you know, it's going to be busy, and then that slight risk finally begins to push off to the south. So a flood watch in effect for everybody in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. Now, I live in Madisonville. I live up on not a hill so much, but above on a divide really between creeks. And so I don't have an issue with flooding, but if you live in the floodplain of a creek, or if your property or your house has been flooded in the past, be ready to take evasive action, because this could very well be one of those situations. And again, it really depends upon the stream you're talking about and where the rainfall falls. Of course, that's a duh thing. So for example, if you look at Ohio Brush Creek in Adams County, it is extremely susceptible to flooding. That's because it's, and not perfectly straight, but it's a fairly straight, narrow valley. Water drains off into it quickly and it rises fast. Okay, the Ohio River is a big river with a large area. It takes a lot of rain over a lot of area to get that to rise. Little Miami is famous for coming up fast. It's not as narrow and as straight as Ohio Brush Creek, but if you look at its drainage basin, it's pretty narrow and pretty close to the river, and so water drains off quickly, and the Little Miami comes up and goes down. When I lived in Loveland, one of the biggest things to do is when the Little Miami was coming up, the old bridge there that was on West Loveland Avenue that crossed the Little Miami River, the new bridge is there, and that's not far from where you get onto the bike trail. The big thing, and we used to go down there and stand on the bridge as the water would lap just beneath our feet when the Little Miami River came up. So that happened a lot. Okay, so flood watches, take those seriously, especially if you, and you know that better than I do where you live, if you're susceptible to flooding. And then tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. to midnight, Wednesday, Thursday, we're looking at the possibility of gusty winds over 50 miles an hour. That's not inside the thunderstorms, it's outside of the thunderstorms, so that wind advisory is in effect. Okay, so let's go. There we go. No, that didn't do that. I wasn't supposed to do that. Let me back up a couple here. Got to get to the 7-day forecast. Come on. Okay, so now the 7-day forecast looks like this. 47 tonight, 79 tomorrow. First alert weather day for tomorrow. Again, the severe storms hold off till probably 8 p.m. or later. On Thursday, a low of 62, a high of 68. Heavy rain and thunder. Rain could cause flooding. Now, whenever you see the eyeballs on a 7-day forecast that I'm doing, the eyeball means we're keeping a very close eye on this day. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've got the eyeballs out there because we have to watch this very closely. They may end up having to become first alert weather days also. Right now, if I had to make the call right now, I'd say yes, but I want to see how this evolves, because if Friday turns out to be a nothing burger because it's drying out, don't want to overplay this. I don't want to have people think that we're trying to panic them, or it's not one of the situations where if you don't watch it, you're going to die. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure you're informed so you can make your own decisions. And I've steadfastly held to that through my entire career. So, okay, so then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday could be days with issues. Monday and Tuesday it dries out, but look at that high temperature on Tuesday, 49 degrees. So we go from a high of 79 on the first day of the 7-day to 49, 30 degrees colder by Tuesday. Okay, and we get to beyond the 7-day forecast, not much better on Wednesday. So on Monday, we had a high of 51, 49, 50. So we've got 3 chilly days in a row. Look at those low temperatures in the 30s. High temperatures stay at or below normal. And I think 65 is either at or just a little bit below normal by the time we get to the 15th. Okay, and each of that, and even though we have chances of showers in there, I'm looking at the latest model data an hour or so before I came out here, we may have to start backing off, because you'll see what the Climate Prediction Center is saying here in a minute or two. Okay, then we go to beyond the 7-day forecast. There are the highs, there are the lows, put on the normals, and you can see that a good amount of time. So by the time we get to the 15th, that 65-degree high is 1 degree below normal. Okay, and then you can see we spend a good portion of those 14 days now colder than normal around the tri-state. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about what the Climate Prediction Center is saying. Okay, it'll come up here in just a second. Look at this day 6 to day 10 outlook. Look at that cold air. We're still, and then it fits exactly with what we just looked at on our 14-day forecast, okay? Because our 14-day forecast went out to April 15th, and so that's right in there. Now, their 8 to 14-day outlook goes out beyond ours, goes all the way out to the 15th of April. And we still go out that far on some of it, but we don't talk about it in detail. So it's still cooler than normal, beginning to warm up a little bit. And then by the time we get to the 27th of April, from the 14th to the 27th, we should go back to about normal. Drier than normal weather from the 7th through the 11th. Drier than normal weather from the 9th through the 15th. And then going back to normal as we head toward the 27th of the month. So again, here's that 7-day forecast. We're talking about a low of 47 tonight, a high of 79 tomorrow. Windy, winds could gust to 50. That's why wind advisory is in effect. Thunderstorms, a few could pop up in the morning. As you saw in the model, probably just a few showers here and there, but nothing big. A few could pop up before in the afternoon, one or two popping up here and there, but for the most part, the threat of severe weather holds off until after 8 p.m. Okay, 62 and 68 on Thursday. We could still see a couple severe thunderstorms on Thursday, especially in the morning, and then a few episodes of heavy rain, but also drying out later in the day. Friday, it looks like it's a morning rain event and drying out later in the day, and then Saturday into Sunday, plenty of rain coming back into the tri-state. Okay, I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and take a look and see if we've got any Facebook interaction today. You know, I wonder if I did something wrong with this because something looks different and I don't see. Oh, found it. Sorry, somebody moved it on me. The only thing about old dogs is you can't teach them new tricks. I'd have to consider myself an old dog. And so somebody moved this box over, so I don't know how that happened. Okay, Susan Wally says, unfortunately, too much rain is as bad as the drought. You're not kidding. I just saw something weird on YouTube. I don't know how that happened, but okay. So yeah, remember, I don't know if you remember, Susan, several weeks ago, I was saying that typically a La Nina pattern is one where the rainfall is higher than normal. And we didn't have much of a La Nina pattern during the winter. And I said I was really getting worried that the weather would get too wet and begin to delay farmers getting into the fields and getting things done in preparation for growing season. If you remember, we just saw those extended outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. After this, it says it does begin to dry out. So probably by the time it's time for farmers to get the tractors in the field and that, things in most locations will have dried out a bit. But you're right, too much rain is just as bad as not enough, and that's for sure. Okay, man, I don't know what's going on here. Something's jumping around, and I just don't see everybody, okay? Diane Dobronsky says, keep us safe. Dear God, amen, okay? Lindsay Marie, yeah, it does look nasty, Lindsay, sure. Sarah Slavin says, yep. Could the storms, Brittany Duzan says, I don't know if it's Duzan or Duzan, but Brittany wants to know if the storms could weaken as they approach Falmouth. They could, but it doesn't look like that'll happen this time. And you know, when you get a line of severe thunderstorms, there might be 10 miles in between thunderstorms. So, you know, it's one of those things we just have to watch as it happens to make the call. So, yeah, it's possible that it could, but it doesn't look like it's going to weaken this time, Brittany. Peggy Smeal. Is there any chance of this weakening and turning into a weaker storm? Absolutely, Peggy. That happens oftentimes. Sometimes what happens is you have a line of severe thunderstorms coming in. Up here's the north, down here's the south. And the ones in the south get so big and strong that they literally cut off the moisture and the energy from the ones to the north. It doesn't look like that's going to happen in this case, though. Okay. So Vanessa Smelser says, no sleep tomorrow night. Got it? Yep, I know what you mean. I'll be here. And depending upon what's going on our air, I'll either be live from the streaming center, live on air, or potentially both at the same time. Mary Noel says, wondering if those storms could weaken. Yeah, they could, but I wouldn't count on it at this point. Okay, so Sarah Slavin says, we don't have a basement, but we've already spoke to the kids. And we have a plan in place. Very good. That's the most important thing you can do. And that way, if storms do approach your particular house, you don't have to think about where you're going, or you don't have to look at the kids and tell them. They just get there and go. And the faster you get to a safe spot, if a big storm threatens, the safer you're going to be in almost all cases. Da-da-da. Oh, and yeah, this is April 1st, and this isn't an April Fool's joke. Believe me, I would never do that. about weather forecast. Okay. Patricia McLean says, you called it wrong. It's coming out of the Gulf of America. Gulf of Mexico for me. But if you want to call it the Gulf of America, I support you on your decision to do that. Okay? Vanessa Smelser says she doesn't like this model. Yeah, neither do I right now, Vanessa. Dana and Amy Smith, or no, Dan and Amy Smith, sorry, I want to know how bad it's going to be in Covington. Yeah, pretty bad. I think, compare it to Sunday night, I think the storms will be stronger this time. They'll be more widespread, so more of us will be affected. And what we have, Sharon Steer says, hi from Madisonville. That's my house. You're my neighbor, Sharon. I don't know where you live in Madisonville, but hello. More widespread, somewhat stronger, so more of us will be affected. And they may last a little bit longer time. And oh, by the way, I meant to mention that the National Weather Service finally got out to Ripley County up near Napoleon and surveyed the damage there. We had Mike Schell, our reporter, live there yesterday, and he talked to this young couple that owned a farm. That the farm had been there since 1889, I think, along with the barn. And everything was okay. It's just going to have to repair it. They don't have to turn anything down. And on radar, you couldn't see any distinct tornado signature, but that just because you're up here, you don't see any circulation, doesn't mean it's a little bit lower. And so when the Weather Service went out there, they confirmed it was an EF0 tornado with 80-mile-an-hour winds. That was the one in the Napoleon area of Ripley County. Okay, so let's see, what do we have here? Boy, I've got so many comments coming in, I'm having trouble keeping up with them. Okay, Karen Staggs-Grave says, is there a chance for big tornadoes or just the long-lived kind or the short spin-ups? There's a chance for some bigger ones. And it's just a chance, but we will have to watch for that, okay? Brandy Smith wants to see the radar again. Okay, Brandy, give me a second. I'm getting to it. And there's really nothing on radar right now, but I will zoom it way out. Nothing in our area anyway. Okay, so this is radar and satellite, and let me see. I'll make sure you can see it full screen when it comes up. Okay, and I'll zoom into the wrong tool. Let me erase it. Okay. Okay, so there is the radar right now, Brandy. What we're looking at on the radar, my gosh, what did I do here? Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put myself so I can see. What we're looking at here is this is basically a warm front right here, and most of this you can see is streaming to the north and east. And as the warm front extends, comes our way, the models are saying these showers will extend a little bit further south. And so as we head into the morning hours, that model showed a few showers along this warm front moving into the Cincinnati area. Maybe a light thunderstorm, but nothing severe until later in the day, probably after 8 p.m. So even though there might be a shower for the morning commute, I do not anticipate seeing anything severe for a while. So I'll let you look at that for a second. Go back here and let's see. Okay. Jessica Combs. Now, Jessica, you're talking to something that's really fresh in my memory, even though it was 2012. So we had a tornado in Piner, Morning View in 2012. So they are overly cautious. How will it be in our area? Same thing. I think the further south in our viewing area you get, the better chance you have of getting a stronger thunderstorm that could produce a tornado. Now, Jessica's talking about the March 2nd, 2012 episode, EF4 tornadoes. And I tell you what, we were on the air waiting for those to come in, and before they even put out warnings, we decided to go on the air and let everybody know that this was going to be a big deal. We tracked it right from Crittenden to Piner, right through over to Morning View. Then it lifted up, and another one touched down and crossed the river and went over to Moscow, Ohio. But that was a big, big day. I remember that very well. It was Jeff Creighton and I were working early in the day. We came in early, and when the little communities just north of Louisville in southern Indiana got hit, we were plotting the way these thunderstorms were moving, and that was on a straight line right into our viewing area. So we knew hours ahead of time we had a pretty good chance. So that's it. Dwayne Bentley says hello from Brooksville, Kentucky. Hello, Dwayne. Lori Willis, any timeline on when these will start? Okay, again, I don't think the severe activity begins until after 8 p.m. in our viewing area and probably goes until 1 or 2 a.m. We'll still probably have heavy rain and thunder, but no severe storms from 2 a.m. into the morning hours of Thursday. Now, we may have to extend that. The amount of time we have the possibility of severe weather may be longer than that. Okay, so Angie Monroe wants to know, is it going to be worse as you head north to like Warren County or worse as you head south into Kentucky? I think everybody's got about an equal chance, but the chances are a little bit greater in northern Kentucky of getting something big than the farther north you go. Yes, Abby Niehaus wants to know if there's a threat of hail. Yes, as you'll hear meteorologists say, all modes of severe weather are anticipated. A mode is what you get. So big hail is possible, gusty, damaging winds possible, and those winds could be 70 miles an hour or higher, maybe even 80. And tornadoes are possible, not just leading edge spin-ups, but the mesocyclone type that are stronger on the ground more. Now, that may not happen, okay? They may not happen, but everything tells us they are certainly possible. And Bethany Tackett, what's the main concern for tomorrow night? Gusty winds and hail. Tornadoes, because they only happen in 1 or 2 spots in an entire area, less of a concern, but all modes of severe weather are possible. Tina Otto, I don't think the risk is going to go down much at all. It's probably going to increase a little bit before we get there. Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder, Annie. I don't know if it's Ann or Annie, but Ann Rose said Thursday is also the 51st anniversary of the 1974 tornadoes. Now, during the 1974 tornadoes, a lot of interesting stuff came out of that. I remember it very, very well. I wasn't a meteorologist yet. I was still in college, and at that time I was working in a Marathon gas station in Loveland. I took classes up at Miami University in Oxford, and I drove back and forth each day. I opened the gas station up in the morning and got people ready to go to work. So, and that day I happened to be working in the afternoon, and we went on a service call, and the gas station I worked on is right on Loveland Madera Road at Branch Hill Guinea Pike, and we went across into Branch Hill in Claremont County, had to go up on a hill, and we saw the tornado come up out of the area in the river valley and come up into the Delhi Township area. So it hit Sailor Park first, came up the hill, and I was amazed. That's the first big tornado I'd ever seen. Later, when that system went east, my dad actually got some pictures from our backyard in Loveland of the tornado up off to the north. So I remember the 1974 tornadoes very well. It's the 51st anniversary. That's pretty amazing. Thank you for reminding me of that. Let's see now. Let's go back. Oh, here. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay, they will not be. Jenny wants to know if they'll be hitting around when school lets out. No, Jenny, they will not. Much later than when school gets out. Although there could be a few showers around that. Nothing severe until probably after 8 p.m. Brown County, okay, it looks like it's going to be midnight or a little bit later by the time they get as far east as Brown County, Carly. Dwayne Bentley said he heard it's going to be bad in Brooksville. Yeah, Brooksville very, very much too. And just like I said, in Brown County, it probably going to be closer to midnight. Same thing for Brooksville. The farther east you go, the later they will be, and more than likely, the weaker they'll be. Jeff Beechler, of course, if you watch this all the time, you know Jeff Beechler's talking about snow. A foot of snow will be better than what we get tomorrow. Yeah, I think so. Okay, because a foot of snow doesn't often, unless you go out in it and get lost or have a wreck or something, it's not a big risk to life and property. Christine Fecker Khan says, I remember the tornadoes of 74. They came toward Delhi, where she lived at the time. Yeah, and when I was seeing them from outside, up in Claremont County, outside of Loveland, outside of Branch Hill, if you know that area, I saw it come out of the river valley up through Delhi, and I've got a lot of good photographs. I'll have to maybe show you sometime from Don Omer, O-H-M-E-R, who was the fire chief at Delhi Township at the time, and he took a lot of great photographs of that tornado coming through Delhi. Okay, Jessica Hildebrand says, will it get bad in Manchester, Ohio? Probably. Yeah, everybody's in pretty much the same boat here. Well, Laura says, will Hamilton County get harder than Butler County because it's farther south? Well, that's a pretty fine distinction. When I'm talking about, say, Butler County has a better chance of being hit less hard than, let's say, Pendleton County. That's like a 45-mile stretch, and so that makes a big difference. But the few miles between Butler and Hamilton County doesn't make that much of a difference. What time is it? Oh my gosh, I'm late. Okay, let's see. Carly Fleming says, any tornadoes around Fayetteville, Ohio? There could be. We can't forecast the occurrence of an individual tornado right away, but yeah, it's very possible, Carly. Okay, the biggest threat in Warren County on Thursday after the early morning hours would just be floods left over from the rains, and then as we go into Thursday night, more heavy rainfall. Okay, Will Shine says he works in a school. What's his best bet when it comes to taking cover? Well, schools, most schools are pretty well built. Stay away from glass, without a doubt. Stay away from windows. And you say, will a custodial closet downstairs? Absolutely. The lower you can get, the better. And even though those schools are built pretty strong, and if you're in a custodial closet, which is generally fairly small, and so the walls are relatively stronger as opposed to a big open space, that's your best bet. All right, now let's see. I tell you what, I have got to... Judy Adams wants to know about Crittenden. Same thing, Judy. Everybody's going to get about the same thing. And Caleb says, thanks. Okay, I've got to run. I've got a bunch of stuff I've got to get done here before the 10 o'clock show. Thank you for joining me. Now, tomorrow, depending upon what's going on, if the severe weather is still not quite here, I'll be on live at 7:15. We may end up, if it comes in earlier and we've got some warnings, we may be on the air with it. But one way or the other, you'll be able to get the information you need. We're going to try and set it up again so that if we go live, I can go live on social media and on TV at the same time from this location. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for joining me. Have yourself a nice night. And again, I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll try and give you much more detailed information as the storms close in on us.